This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It is chilly and the air is crisp this morning in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. I think we might have a lot of action this morning, and that's because already on the dam cam there's been so much happening, and Lauren's going to follow up on that. As for me, I would love to see a leopard this morning. Also, take anything else. Some elephants would be great, and that jackal would be fabulous too. So jump on board, everyone, for your live safari through the African bush. Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to have you on my game drive vehicle this morning as we go about exploring the African wilderness. We're here in quarantine, or rather the western side of quarantine, and my name is Trishala. Hi, everyone, and they've got Darren on camera with me, and I was really hoping, since it's Darren and I together on the vehicle this time, that the jackal would appear. And the last time we saw the jackal, the side-striped jackal, it was right here on quarantine. So we're having a good look around to see if it'll pop up again. But so far, we haven't been lucky. It's also been a nice spot to just kind of listen, because it is on a crest, so we'd be able to hear quite nicely. We've been hearing hyenas whooping, and on the dam cam, there was a lot of activity in the early morning of hyenas actually hunting impalas, which is awesome to see, because so often we just get told that hyenas are simply scavengers. They're not. Anyway, this is your live safari, everyone, so use that hashtag WildEarth, or you can use @FC on the YouTube chat stream. You can go to our website and register to use our questions and comments box, and if you're under 18, please use kids questions at wildearth.tv. We'd love to hear from you. Give us all your questions and your comments. Now we're going to get moving, because I'm not sure I pick up any clues here. Perhaps on the southern side of quarantine we might be a little bit luckier. I'm also keeping an eye out for tracks. Haven't seen any of those, but it's such a cool day and it's been such a cool night. Like this morning's only 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's very, very chilly. So maybe there would have been a lot of movement. And also with the sound of the distress call of the impala and all the hyena activity, hopefully some other predators would have been attracted to the area too. So let's get going. So I'm mostly going to be working the south this morning. Lauren's going to go check up on the hyena activity that was on the dam, on the dam camp. I haven't got any reports of any animals moving into the property just yet, but it's still quite early. Other vehicles are still getting out. Just give me a moment here. Got a male leopard track. Well, that's a good start. It's in an area though where the car hasn't driven, so it might be old. Anyway, I'm going to check this out, and if it's good, I'm going to follow it, but I'm going to send you over to have a look at the weather at our different locations.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, and on that note, the go-away bird flew away. We're just admiring the colour palette of the skies right now. All those pastel colours blending into one another is just absolutely stunning. What is not so stunning is the temperature. It's extremely cold. waiting to show his thumb there. He's shown his thumb early. That's Davi. My name is Lauren. All my muscles are a little bit slow. Don't think I've dressed warm enough once again, which is wunderbar. But my goodness, the temperature seems to have dropped to tenfold. So I'm sure some of you, or most of you, know this already, but thank you, Michael, for sending me that video nice and early this morning. The hyena activity on a dam cam last night was incredible for so many reasons. I believe Ribbon and Gwazi, Kaikau, Comet were all involved in chasing impala. The impala went into the dam and the hyenas went into the dam in the water, in the freezing cold water, to then pull out the impala, to which they, of course, devoured naturally. I cannot believe that. I really cannot believe it. I know that hyenas hunt. They have to hunt. Think of mathematics. There's not enough leopards around here to fill everyone's tummy from stealing their carcass. And even when the leopard does lose its carcass, it's not all of it. Most of the times it's just the remains. Even the kills of lion prides. The lions eat the bulk of the carcass and the hyenas just really get the remains. That's not enough for a whole clan to survive, especially in winter. So of course they hunt. We just generally don't tend to see it. They are nocturnal and it's a very dense environment out here. The dam cam manages to get all the hunts, which is incredible. I'm not actually sure which individual went into the water, but to me that's mind-blowing. The water must have been freezing. The impala probably went into shock. It's not the most pleasant video to watch, but the hyenas hunted. I believe there was possibly 2 impala involved. And Steve had a sighting recently where the wild dogs went into the water. A similar thing to that. They chased the impala went into the water, and hyenas managed to go in behind the impala and get it. It's mind-blowing. Wow, hyenas never, ever, ever fail to impress me. They are so determined and resourceful. And you may have noticed our predator sightings have really picked up, and that's because it's winter. We can see far now, and also it's cold. Animals are hungry. Competition's getting a little bit fierce. Resources are possibly a little bit lower, although there's still a lot of water around. See, you can see right through here. The long grass has been trampled down. So that means normally in winter we see a lot more sort of predator action, if you like, and a lot more interspecific interaction between different species. Leopards, lions, hyenas, leopards. But it's also cold. Yes. Don't worry, we'll warm up. It's all good at this side. My fingers are numb, but it's all good. But my plan for today is my last day today for a few weeks. So I am just going to bumble and enjoy the reserve. Mr. Andrew Koza will be coming in tomorrow to work with Miss Trishala. So the girl power team no more. But I'm just going to bumble, see the wigs, see Batilda, and hopefully find some hyenas and leopards and elephants and everything else along the way. Okay, I'm going to do my best to warm up at this side, but we are going to send you over to Trico to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to andBeyond Ngala. So this morning, as you can see, it's quite nice and beautiful, those beautiful colors coming through there. We're going to be looking for lions, so we're going to be heading further south. Hi, everybody. My name is Trico, and behind the camera, I have Hoopoe with me doing a fantastic job. And yeah, as I said, we're going to head into that direction and try to see if maybe we can find these lions. But as we're driving earlier on, we went past this area where I know there's this female leopard that sort of hides the cubs around that area. So we thought, give it a chance to go have a look and see maybe we can find any signs of them. But yeah, we're not lucky. There were some few tracks there going up and down of hers. But they seemed a little bit old. Go a little bit forward. Yeah, I think I see something in the distance there. Have a look and see what it is. Oh, an elephant. Alright, I'm gonna give us a better position and see if maybe we can have a look there. There we go. Fantastic. The African elephant there just feeding away on some bushes. As you imagine how cold it is out here at this time of the year. You know, there's a lot of dew on top of these grasses and trees and shrubs. And that elephant is enjoying it. And also I've been trying to just look around in that area where that elephant is, trying to see if maybe we can see more elephants, but I haven't seen anything. It looks like it's just only this one elephant there, which is quite normal. Just looking at this elephant, it looks like it's a bull, which is quite normal to find them on their own. But sometimes they will, or usually all the time, they will trail ahead. But I think for now, we're gonna let this elephant be and still continue south. Try to see if maybe we can find those lions.
We have two very proud, very beautiful African harrier hawks here in this lovely marilla. Now you do see them in pairs, but not all the time. It's nice when you do see them in pairs though, because they are monogamous, which means that they will stay together for one breeding season. That's different to mating for life. So having one partner that an animal mates with for life is a type of monogamy. But it is, when we say something is monogamous, it means that in one breeding season, it's not trying to mate with as many females or males as possible. Like say with impalas during the rut, they're trying to mate with as many females as possible, whereas an animal that's monogamous will mate with one partner for that breeding season. But another breeding season comes along, they can easily find somebody else. They are quite territorial, which is actually really nice to see when they get bothered. You sometimes see them having, they kind of mob each other sometimes. If there's one that, has come into the territory of another. But you can clearly see that this is a male and a female, because if this were two males, they would be having a fight because they're territorial. So this is a couple. Well, maybe they're getting ready to mate for the winter, so they may have some offspring soon. Wouldn't that be cute? Tiny little harrier hawks to look forward to right here near quarantine too.
Look at that, the ball of gas rising, hopefully providing some warmth. We are at day number 3, everyone. And there's really not much to see. But once we've finished looking at this beautiful skyline, there's just a few things that I want to point out to you all. Den, nobody home. I didn't expect anyone to be home, but out here, you've got to sort of, well, you've got to keep checking. You never know what you're going to see. And on the other side, over here, Davy, there's lots of tire marks. Most of them are mine. Most of them are windy, checking furious. Now, if you just look at this wide, it's literally just tire marks. I'm not sure if you can see that. No hyena tracks, except I think there's one. I don't know how to. Here. You see this? That's not fresh. It's a hyena track, yes, it's not fresh, and it's only one. So possibly a single hyena just strolled on by here, which is normal. I mean, they're familiar with this area. But if you look at the rest of the area, there are no fresh hyena tracks. I don't smell hyenas, but to be honest, my nose is a little bit blocked right now. And no urine patches, no bones, no nothing. Just general, that's just tire marks. Wendy's tire marks coming every single day to check and find the den never active. So we won't stay here, but my gut feeling is telling me there are no hyenas in this den anymore. They have moved. I really believe they've moved, which is normal. I mean, they've been using den number 3 for how long now? And I'm not sure if the hyena den on Little Gowrie, they keep talking about an active Misikaya, is the Djuma clan. I would need to see photos. I don't have photos, I'm afraid. But I don't think they're using this one. I really don't. You would see fresh tracks, adults and cubs, 100%. You would just generally spot the signs that it's active, and I don't see any signs of activity. Navella and Ntima's son will still be utilising a den. I just don't know which den. I'm wondering if they have gone to Little Gowrie. I remember they did this last year. 2 years ago, sorry. They disappeared on us, and Little Gowrie, they do have a den. Just because we call them the Djuma clan doesn't really mean that they just stay on Djuma. I wish they did. But of course, Djuma's, it's not huge. It's a lovely sized property. And the boundary lines for us are definitely not the boundary lines for hyenas. So they are going to go into other properties. Ribbon has been spotted every single day on Chitwa. Alice, many factors. When the... Oh, sorry, Darby. I was not paying attention there. And... Sorry, Darby just made a face and completely threw me off there.
Contributing factors to game change.
Oh, it's even reminding me of the question. Many factors, Alice. So... when the cubs are young and many of them are still in the den, that's a lot of little bodies. And sometimes they'll take little bits of meat inside the den, so it's going to get rather smelly and probably actually rather nasty. So they will move from parasite load. If the parasite load sort of builds up too much, hygiene reasons, naturally. You don't think hyenas are hygienic, but hygiene is important. Also threats. Maybe if a lion pride have come and they've sort of attacked the den, they will then move shortly after that. Also, the cubs are getting older, age, dynamics of the clan. Most of the cubs now are mobile and moving and spending a lot of time on Chitwa. So possibly Ntima and June decided it's time to move these little ones. We're not spending so much time on Djuma. But they do have a network of dens that they use. Most of them we know, but there's a lot we don't know. And it's just to freshen things up. Smelly dens are not a good thing for the cubs. And I'm convinced they're not using that. I would love to be proven wrong. But those are main reasons, Alice, that they will move. Threats, parasite load, sort of hygiene, and just the dynamics of the cubs at that stage. Now we have reached Treehouse Den. I'm just going to give you a very, very view of the dam on this misty, cold morning. There you have it, Treehouse Dam. So as we sit here and listen for a while, we are going to send you guys over to Trish.
I've been following those male leopard tracks, and they cut from where I saw you last on Western Quarantine. They cut through from there, through this drainage. Now, they could have come out of the drainage, could have stayed in the drainage. So now I'm on Rebecca's Road, which is where the tracks should come out here, and then bits of Zoe's it could also come out on. So we're just going to do a bit of a patrol here, see if we manage to find something. If we don't pick up on any tracks coming out in that area, we're going to abandon the search because it's probably more watty. I can see that it's a male leopard, and it's scent marking as it's going along, so it's territorial. And I can tell it's scent marking because the tracks will go off the road towards a tree. You might see some scrapes, and then back onto the road. So that's how I can tell. And if he's in a drainage, we are basically going to be wasting our time looking for him. He's the type of cat you've got to just be very thankful when you do get sightings of him. It's always good to try, but also got to know when to give it up. Gracie, you'd like to know if it's hard to track animals if you haven't seen them for a while? Not necessarily. That's not really a factor. If you pick up on good tracks, it's going to lead you to what you want. So it's not really a big factor. Sometimes you might get surprised at who you have. Say you're busy tracking a female leopard and you end up finding Moya, for example. That's surprising, but the tracks are still tracks, so they'll still lead you to an animal, at least the best of times. So I've got nothing coming out here. Feeling I'm more likely to see them come out on Zoe's though. Just because I think it is more Watty's tracks. By not seeing an animal for a while though, what it could do is, if you haven't seen an animal in a while in an area that you have seen it for a while, maybe you'd feel that you wouldn't actually be able to predict the movements of the leopards that well anymore. So you could, in that sense, find it more difficult to track, but that would just be a psychological thing, not really a physical thing. Jackie, you'd like to know how I can tell if the leopard track is male or female? Male leopard tracks are bigger, much bigger than female leopard tracks, about the size of a palm. Male leopard tracks, average size palm, and I don't have small hands, I have pretty average size hands. Size of a palm, and then a female leopard track is a little bit smaller than that, about 2/3. I know it sounds like, oh, but what if it's a young male? And, it's not a very distinct way of like, it's not black and white, but it actually is. If you spend time out looking at them, you'll be able to tell a male leopard track from a female leopard track very, very easily. There's just a vehicle in front of me in the road. Just want to wait for them to... never mind. They've decided to come this way. We'll just move off here. So I want to have a go at checking Zoe's. We're quite close to the junction of Zoe's and basically all these roads together. So we'll have a go. This vehicle looks like they just came up, so it'll make sense for us to go. Or rather, they came from the south to the north to this junction and turned down Rebecca's. We'll take the one that goes further up, back towards Viatella Access. This junction used to be the greatest spot for tracks. It's also a great place because the animal has all these four directions across the road, right? So it's just a great place to get direction. Animals use that road and they're, passing by all the time. They don't know that they're leaving tracks. So, an animal has walked north to south at 2 o'clock, and then one has walked from east to west at 5 o'clock, and it used to be tracks all over the place. So hopefully these tracks will come out here, and if not, we'll still hang around in the area a little bit, but then we'll move on.
Today is no ordinary day. We have many people on the vehicle. We have Dawn Rial here and we have Miss Gabby. They are holders of the Ticket to Dream.
It's a very special opportunity for us and a learning experience for Gabby.
My favorite is the wild dog because it's like painted a little bit.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My most favorite part about WildEarth is I have learned so many things and I have become interested in so many things that I never even knew about.
I'm going to ask my friends and my whole class, even my teacher, to go on safari.
We wanted to buy a Ticket to Dream because we wanted our family to have this as a special time in our lives that we can always look back and reflect on. This is a dream to be here.
Hi everybody, I'm Tiana, I'm from Johannesburg, and I am one of WildEarth's biggest fans.
Been watching for 4 years, DG here from the Ozarks.
It's been 4 years for me and I'm not leaving anytime soon.
It's given me a time away from the hassles of the city, and it's given me a connection to a place that has stolen my heart, which is Africa.
Last year we lost our son, and now we're just watching WildEarth. Love to all you guys.
You are reminding us of the role that we play in nature conservation, each and every one of us. You have reconnected myself to a dream that I had as a child to get involved in nature conservation, and for that I'm really grateful for as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
We are busy on foot, walking through the bush, and we've come across some really cool hippo tracks heading the direction that we're going. Hi everyone, my name is Mike Anderson, behind the camera is Craig, and this is Eco-Training's Pride Lands Conservancy, where we are currently not close to any water, really, and so it's quite odd that there's a hippo track right over here. It doesn't look like a particularly large hippo track. I mean, that's the size of my hand, and that's the track there. So, I mean, it's a big animal, but the track is not as large as I've seen before. So it's probably a young male trying to find its way in the world looking for a place to call its own. Aren't we all? And hopefully this one's going to find a waterhole, and hopefully this hippo is headed towards Leopard Dam, which is where we're going. Last night in this area, we followed the male line, or we heard it calling from this area when we got on the car. It was getting dark. It walked through this area. So we're going to walk, basically backtrack on its tracks towards Leopard Dam. We did see some other lion tracks coming into this area from the north. So it could be that that lion turned around and came back. So we're going to be heading that way, down the road, following, I guess, with the sun at our backs, to see what else we can find. Hopefully there'll be something cool at the waterhole. It's going to be a scorcher of a day, I reckon. Not a cloud in the sky, beautiful blue as you can see. It's quite cold right now, but by the time we reach the dam, it should be warming up quite nicely. And then we can make our way back from there, hopefully with the morning activity starting to settle down. Maybe elephants coming towards the dam, maybe we'll have a few encounters. It'd be really cool. So keep an eye on what we're up to. We'll keep you updated. And in the meantime, we'll send you over to Trico at Ngala.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you, Mike. So, if you just joined us, we are looking for pride of lions. All right, so one of the ranger, or one of my colleague, is basically in a section on my left here, looking for this same pride. So he had tracks in that area, but the tracks that he had are spread out all over the place. So some tracks are heading this way north, some tracks are heading sort of west, and some tracks heading sort of east. So with that bit of information that he's given me, I'm thinking this pride could have potentially be hunting either earlier this morning or somewhere late last night. Because when they hunt, they tend to do that. They tend to spread out. So we're going to be checking on this road, heading more west. Try to see if maybe we can get any signs of these animals. I mean, if they have hunted successfully and they've made that kill somewhere in the thickets, it'll be quite difficult to actually see them or spot them. But I know the ranger, or one of my colleagues on the other side, he has a tracker with him. So with the tracker busy down on foot, maybe we stand a bit of a chance of finding them. But then also it's getting, or it's, starting to get a little bit warm. So they might find an area somewhere in here, just lay down, get warm, depending if maybe they haven't caught anything. But as we go on and look for these animals, I want to send you over to Trishella.
We're back on quarantine now, just to have an extra look. Plus, lots of vehicles have driven here, so if an animal has moved across or along these roads, we'd be able to get a really good idea of what time that happened. So if I see tracks now, it would have happened in the last 15 minutes, which would be great for us. But I didn't hear any alarm calls. I know that there's impala at the end there. I haven't heard anything. So I'm not holding my breath right now. Now what we are gonna do is when we're gonna go across the dam wall, towards central. Actually, might do Vubu, gotta go, and then go back towards central. And just have a look on that end. There's just hyena tracks all over the place. Seems that quarantine is clear, completely clear. The impala were just here, so I would have gotten. They've moved on. Ooh, look, our harrier hawk has moved. Ooh, harrier hawky. These two were here earlier, and this one's just, they're actually just under this tree that we drove under, and then they flew off and landed there. Very cool. Hi, Gabby. You'd like to know if other scavengers are able to steal kills from a hyena? It is possible. But a hyena is stronger than most predators, except a lion. So a male lion can very easily steal a kill from a hyena. Female lion, if a lioness comes along, multiple hyenas, like 4 hyenas, will be able to displace her from a kill. But they're pretty much the only ones, and that's because the hyena's just so strong. Oh, I love watching harrier hawks. So they're always investigating little holes, right? Looking for little chicks and eggs and stuff like that they can manage to get their foot through to. So they look very, very curious as they're on branches, because it looks like they're almost like they're reading. I think the other one's coming along now. There we go. It looks like they're mostly just trying to warm up this morning. Of course, they'll take any opportunity to hunt and find something to eat, but they'll still need to actually warm up. Oh no! This one's gonna fly off soon. I'm so glad it hasn't followed its partner closely, at least. Give us still a nice look at it. Yes, you bob your head. Land here. Oh, off it goes. They're so lovely. I really like them. we go across the dam wall and see what we can find there.
I also really love African harryhawks, Trish. Favorites to watch hunting. And one plants, just because it's so interesting. Apple leaf that we've found. And now what's most interesting about this apple leaf right now is where it's growing. It's growing in the middle of what can only really be described as a desert. There's an old mud wallow that's absolutely almost devoid of life. As you can see, it's dry. It's crusty hard, and I cannot poke my way. Tried to. It's really an inhospitable place for anything to try and grow. But this apple leaf has somehow gotten a seed deep inside one of the cracks in this mud wallow and found itself a purchase. Now, this is clay, mostly the soil, which means that it's really, really hard when it dries, but when it's wet, it holds that moisture for a long time. So there's probably a nice crust here that's protecting the moist inside there. And so this little apple leaf has found its way into one of these cracks and is now growing, and then hopefully it does get big enough before the next rains to be able to survive the attentions of the buffalo and warthog and elephants that might use this mud wallow. I can see right now that there's a few tracks of buffaloes and elephants around, but this tree has also got some very interesting uses, one of which is that it was used, the roots, as a fish poison. So what people would do is take those roots, cut them, take the bark off them or the outside layer, and throw them into a pond just like this. And what it would do is it would deoxygenate the water and remove snails, because they can't survive, and also fish. They could easily catch them and use them for food. So it's really, really cool that this plant is growing here. And it has beautiful flowers, nice, very light purple, pink flowers that are quite abundant, and they fall under the tree and create a beautiful purple circle underneath the tree, which is always nice to sit under. But those flowers are heavily used by blister beetles, so you have to be very careful that no blister beetles fall on you. Well, little apple leaf, I wish you the best of luck. I hope that you're able to survive this season and grow big and strong for next year.
So we haven't made very far from where you last saw us, but at least we'll go over the dam wall together. Have a look at the tracks. So what I really was hoping, like I said to you earlier, was that the sound of all the commotion early this morning would have attracted other predators to the area. So around the dam would be a good place to have a look. Maybe we won't find a predator, but we might find tracks, and that could help us out and eventually find a predator. Right now, though, I need to find my gloves because it's suddenly very cold. So apparently there's still or at least from what I heard about the updates, there was an impala still floating in the dam. One was caught and one was dead floating. So we might see that. I think Lauren did come past you already though, so I'm not sure if she's seen something. Hippos. You sometimes do see hippos. Let's just stop here. Let's see. You sometimes do see hippos scavenging and nibbling on little things, little bits of carcass, meat that's floating in the water. So I thought this might be an opportunity to see that kind of behavior. But I don't see the floating impala carcass. I don't smell anything too funky, but there's a lack of freshness in this air. That's as much as I can say, though. Okay, let's keep on going. Jasmine, you'd like to know if hippos stay out of the water longer now that it's colder? Not really. Water is their place of safety. So they'll get out of the water, graze for a couple hours. That it might have a slight effect, especially because of darkness. It's darker for longer, but not necessarily extend their feeding time by hours. I'm just having this vision. I'm having this vision of a walking leopard. A leopard walking with its tail up in the air. And I feel we're going to see it from a distance. Okay, so apparently the carcass is underneath the old pan, but we can't see it from here. I wonder what will happen to it, if anything will eat it. I mean, bacteria will eventually get to it, but I wonder if anything else will try its hand. Anyway, let me send you over to Lauren. She got an interesting bird for you.
Good morning, Batilda. We are on a completely different tree. Still in the same area, but completely different. And you can just spot our little outline from far away. And Davi said, wait, I can get her from here. Because normally we're quite cautious with birds. Because, of course, generally 90% of the time they fly away. But this little one, due to all our hard work and dedication, is actually very habituated. We can get quite close now. Oh. Of course, we're not at the same height as the bird, but he really doesn't mind us getting close in the vehicle. And actually, this is probably the lowest branch that we've been able to view him on, I think. It's really not that high compared to the knob thorns that he normally sits on, or the leadwood. I think this is a dead knob thorn, actually. I can't see because of the sun blinding me right now, but when you see him this close, he's actually pretty small. He's a big chick, yes, but in comparison to adult bateliers, he's still quite small. I'm going to miss you, little one. No, yes, I am. You've become quite the feature in my daily life. I'm sure Tswalu will come and check on him. I love just watching her scan. Look, listen, she listens to every bird call. The go-away birds, the babblers, the hornbills, the starlings, the drongo, she listens. She looks, she watches. I would quite like to see if we can get a little bit closer and look at the front. So the sun is behind us. Do you think it's possible, Darby?
Let's give it a shot.
Nice. He's saying give it a shot. Okay. Not to scare her, just... We're looking into the sun, which, as you know, is not ideal. But Toad, are you going to stay there, dear? I'll give it a shot. How about here, Dog? Yeah. Should we stay? I was going to go a little bit further around, but she's looking at us. Hello. Look at those flight feathers. You see those really pronounced feathers? Oh, 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 oh. And away it soars into the sun. Is she flying?
I've got her there.
You've got her?
Yeah, she's
I can only see
quite far away.
Quite far away. Should I drive forward?
Yeah.
I think that was Tandy. Oh, yes. Tandy, you're asking, do the parents still need to check up on her? I think they do. The parents are always around. Mama and Papa Batelier, and they remain in visual contact with one another. They haven't abandoned her. And very often you'll see the chicks sitting in the same tree as the parents. The parents are monogamous naturally. And they don't feed her now, they don't hunt for her, but they'll be around. And she will see them, she will recognize them. And I would love to see her sitting on a tree with them. My goodness, the sun. I'm happy she flew for us, so... I think we can get her if we go around here. Wow, the sun is bright. My goodness. Ah, yes, I've got her. Can you get it from here?
Yeah.
Now we're really far away from our nest and tree. We're still in the southeastern corner of the reserve, but my goodness, we're making leap and bounds. What do you see, Batoda? It's the feather arrangement on the head that just gets me every time. I remember when I very, very first saw a juvenile batelier, I was shocked that it was a batelier. But once you really home into the features, it's obvious it's a batelier. I have to grow up fast, and of course it's winter. Reptiles are not really visible. Insect life has diminished. It's a tough season for a little chick to start its life. What a wonderful sight, and I'm glad we came here. We're going to continue scratching around this corner of the reserve and see what we can find.
Founded in 1973, the Endangered Wildlife Trust has consistently and effectively worked towards achieving our conservation legacy. Contribute to this legacy by visiting EWT's Get Wild eShop and purchase products with a purpose.
I love being a cam op for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Delivering 6 hours of HD wildlife content live every day is no small feat. It's a massive team effort, and we all rely on one another. Cam ops have a bit of work to do in the morning. Up nice and early, get all the checks out of the way, and make sure we're ready to go live. Helping others fall in love with nature brings meaning to what I do. It's also a lot of fun.
This bearded woodpecker is just enjoying some sun. Oh, no. Why'd you do it, woodpecker? Well, the woodpecker has moved on, and so have our giraffe. So perhaps we should too. Maybe we'll get another gap and we'll be able to see the giraffe. A slight gap with the giraffe through it. Oh, hello, you. Enjoying yourself there. Some morning greens. It's eating a buffalo thorn. There's magic worry there too, but it's selecting just the buffalo thorn leaves. Oh, there comes the others. Or one other. They're also looking for the most nutritious vegetation that they can find. So sometimes, especially with older animal books or mammal books, authors are quoted as referring to the style in which a giraffe eats as indicative of their sex. So if it bends over a lot to eat, like it eats at a lower level, then it's likely to be female. If it eats from the tops more, it's likely to be male. Now, I haven't really found that myself, but it's not something that, I document about every giraffe I see. But at a time like this especially, that type of information is really unreliable because they're going after anything and everything that is still nutritious and juicy. Oh, look at that tongue. Curling, curling. It's actually staying on that side of the tree for quite some time. What ends up happening is the tannins get expressed through the leaves on that side. So usually you'll see them move around as they feed to try and get the least bitter or least astringent parts of the leaves. Well, let me send you over to Mike in Pridelands, see what he's got for you. We're going to move on. Hopefully you'll find more giraffe and some elephants.
This is one of the trees that giraffes love. I don't know if this one is particularly palatable at this moment, but it has an interesting story to tell. As you can see, there's lots of mud here, all growing on it. Well, not growing, but it's inside this tree. Well, it was inside this tree. This is a knobthorn tree. It was quite a big knobthorn, not a small one. It wasn't no slouch. This was probably at least 50 years old, which is amazing. And somehow it must have gotten damaged, probably by an elephant feeding on it. And in doing so, it allowed these termites to infiltrate this tree and hollow it out completely. You saw, as Craig was showing you there, this whole tree has been completely hollowed all the way up. And in doing so, that hard, rigid material, which gives this tree its structure, was lost. And in doing so, the tree became weakened, and an elephant or even a strong wind was able to come along, push against this tree and completely snap it off. I always just think it's so incredible how it would have taken... I mean, I've tried before to move trees off roads that have been fallen over, and the Land Rover cannot push the tree. It's so big, it's so strong. And the termites, these tiny creatures, yes, there were millions of them, but individually they're so small, were able to undermine this tree so much that it was able to be pushed over. I mean, it's incredible what they can do. Teamwork makes the dream work. If I was going to be really cheesy, I would say that, but I'm not going to be, so I won't. And it's just, when you just look at this tree, what's left of it, if you look just over here, you can see there's only a thin section of rigidity. This little bit of red, this dark color right over there, that is the cambium layer. That is the only part which transports nutrients up and down this tree. Then you've got the bark, this outside gray layer that creates the protective barrier. It's very tough, it's very dense, stops things from getting in there, stops mammals, stops fire, stops insects. And then this is the rigid part of the tree. This was the outside layer, not the heartwood, the lighter colored wood that is still drying, still maybe has some nutrient transporting materials. And then this part that's been eaten by the termites. This is the hard wood. This is the stuff which is no longer living. It's creating the strength that the tree needs to stand upright. It's been completely consumed by the termites. And now it's been opened, so the termites are no longer active here. They've been attacked by probably a multitude of different creatures, and so they've decided to leave this area. But at some point they'll come back and finish the job that they started probably a long time ago. And while we do that, or whilst they think about doing that, we'll send you over to Lauren.
I think we found Mama. Really not too far away. I think it's Mom. Naturally, when you're looking at male and female battaliers, you look at the wing. I think I saw that second grey panel on the primary flight feathers. Look how different they look. I mean, they look the same in terms of the sort of shape, the outline of the bird, but in terms of the coloration, it's completely different. Batoda's got a long way to go in her development. Now, on the radio in Buffelshoek, one of the Djuma guys is following female leopard tracks with cub tracks. I'm keeping my ear on the radio to try and figure out who on earth that could be. They've located in Sele, but there's a female leopard walking around with a little cub. Not to get your hopes up, Buffelshoek's very tricky for us signal-wise, but I'll do my best to keep you posted and see if we can get up there and figure out who it is. Kuchava's also heavily pregnant. Tiani's got little cubs. Oh, the leopard dynamics here are just thriving. I'd love to get into Simbambili to take a look at Tiani and her little one. She's denning on Simbambili, but again, signal's a little bit tricky. Battle ears just pose so perfectly. That's why I love them. They don't fly away. You can really get to spend time with the battle ears. Look at your little tail crossed over like that. You must be a lady. Not as fluffy. You see that in terms of the feathers, not as fluffy. A lot more streamlined. Facial coloration is bright red with that yellow beak. Entirely black plumage on the body. And the wings, which we don't really have a good view of right now, has got that grey, silvery plumage, which is just beautiful. The legs and the talons are also bright red. The tail is extremely short. It almost looks non-existent. I always enjoyed battle ears, but now I think I'm just crazy about them. Gavin, that's a tricky one to tell because we're always looking from down up, if that makes sense. We're never sort of looking at them at eye level like we are these spotted eagle owls. We saw Mom and Chick on the nest not so long ago together, and Chick is still a lot smaller. Yes, it's a very large chick, but still smaller than Mom or Dad. So it's actually quite difficult to get a size comparison. I don't really know the size of Chick. I would just be guessing. If we need them to all line up in a row. But battle ears can weigh in about 2.25 kg. They're quite heavy birds. And they're said to be about 65 centimeters on average. So that's over 2 ruler lengths. The big birds. Not the biggest, but they're big birds. But I really don't know the size of Chick. I would love to. We've done well at following Batoda, really, because it's not been so easy to get the camera into that nest, but she's just been such a joy to follow. Thank you. I'm sure this is a female, but thank you, Mama Batelier, for being so obliging. I'm going to continue north, just in case we can get lucky with this female leopard and her cub on Bufusuk. This batelier here is being so wonderful to us this morning against a blue backdrop, warming up herself in the sun and scanning around, looking for her breakfast. One of my favorite birds. But we are just going to sit here, watch her, and listen to the sounds of the bush. Isn't she just so perfect? I'm sure she's going to take flight soon and go catch something for breakfast.
Right, welcome back once more. So we've been looking for this line for quite a while now, and it sounds like the tracks went into this very big block further slightly south of where we are on the right hand side. I mean, that block is quite big and very, very thick. So I'm thinking, one moment, just saw some few tracks here. All right, looks like tracks of a pride. Looking very, very fresh, actually. Looks like they're going up on this road here. So we're gonna drive a little bit further up here and try and see if maybe we can find them. Could be potentially those ones that we're looking for. Maybe they came through this way, or it could be a different pride. But let's go. Let's see. Because it looks like there's also some youngsters as well. I didn't really copy that question. You are breaking up. Can you please go again? Yeah, still cannot hear anything. Let's try have a look again, trying to see where they're going, because where I am, the road's actually split. And there's a bit of grass as well, which can make it a little bit harder to see where exactly they've went. But I think I have one track here. Looks like they're heading in that way. So we're going to reverse and take this road here. And it makes sense. I don't think they're going to lay down somewhere in the shady areas here, since it's very cold. I'm thinking they're going to go in an area where it's quite open, where they can get a bit of sun. Try to have a look again here. Heather, welcome. I'm glad that you can join us in this beautiful morning. Is it better to trek on foot or in a car? Heather, I think trekking on foot is better than being in a car, because when you're trekking in a car, you have to be extra careful that you don't drive on top of the tracks, right? Because if you do drive on top of them and then you lose the tracks further forwards, it'll be quite difficult to go back and double back on the tracks, because you've already raised the tracks that you had behind you. So it's a bit of a challenge when you're in a car, but on foot, I think it's way, way better. I'm just going to quickly have a look here. I think while we look for these animals, I'm gonna send you over to Lauren.
We're heading north on Cheetah Cutline now. Cheetah Cutline can be a very, very productive boundary for leopards, wild dogs. I even had 4 cheetah on Cheetah Cutline once. That was a good day. So I just want to check. Do you see anything down there, dog? But it's cold and I don't have any animals. I'm ready for your questions, FC. Put me to the test. It's marginally starting to warm up, but this much. Andrea, you are asking about the hunting strategy of a hyena. It's called coursing. It's exactly the same really as what... It's exactly the same as wild dogs. Just run, basically. There's no ambush, there's no stalking. Hyenas are not exactly the most elegant to sort of slowly go through the vegetation on their tippy toes like lions. That's not a hyena. They don't care if they're seen. They don't care if the sort of prey species spots them. They're just going to run, run, run. And we call this coursing. And the ultimate goal really is to exhaust the prey. So they just eventually get weak, get slower, or collapse, or sort of really panic the prey to the point that they trip up, they fall, or they make the wrong decision. And hyenas, although they really do have a bizarre body shape, it's specially designed that way to save energy because they are so powerful at the front, their shoulders and their neck, a lot of muscles. They're sort of weaker at the back intentionally. This is an energy-saving gait. It's all about energetics out here. That's the currency of wildlife, energetics. You don't really care about dollars and rands and pounds. It's all about your energy budget. You always want to have a surplus rather than go into a deficit. So hyena's body design, although it looks really bizarre, and it does, is intentionally that way to help them save energy. And they've got a lot of stamina. Hyenas can run. They can really, really gallop. And they can sustain it for really long distances. So they'll just chase after their prey and chase after their prey until eventually somehow they catch it. We used to watch that in the Masai Mara, especially cooperatively. If there's a lot of hyenas, they can take down bigger prey. Wildebeest, zebra, even buffalo. Hippo! Have you seen hyenas take down a hippo? Oh, wow. Davy seen he saw hyenas take down a hippo. My goodness. I've seen hyenas on a hippo, but not take it down. So there you go. It just shows you. They are incredibly powerful animals, and when that power works cooperatively, they are excellent hunters. It's just not ideal that they get sort of... Davy's pointing at something, I'm not sure what. And, lost my train of thought now. Davy. Anyway, they just have this terrible reputation for being scavengers and those animals that steal, but they really do hunt. And they're just remarkable at it as well. I am going to head on to the northern cut line. If they do get lucky with this leopardess, I want to find out exactly who it is. So I'm going to keep doing my very, very best to try and find some heartbeats for you all.
If you thought you had daddy issues, then think again. Many of the fathers in nature don't have the most commendable parenting skills, but there are some who are always there to protect their young. In honor of Father's Day, this weekend, Andrew and Trishala will be at the fire discussing wild dads. Sign up to be an explorer and you can join in the fun. And if you want to wish your dad a happy Father's Day, then send your messages and we'll be sure to read them out. Educating our youth about the environmental threats we face is critical. Our future depends on it. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, is actively leading the charge. Their goal is to encourage children to fall in love with our natural world and to empower them to live sustainably in the future. Through their school programs, the children learn to report on environmental issues through videos, articles, and photos.
The YRE program has changed my life in so many beneficial ways. Being out there at the workshops, I was entitled to talk with others, socialize, as well as my writing skills and leadership skills have improved, so it has been great.
WESA is a membership-based organization. By joining WESA, you will be helping to provide valuable support for these youth education initiatives.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Here we have a mum and a little one. They've been very, very cute. There's a whole lot of them, of these tree squirrels on this beautiful dead leadwood near Buffelshoek Dam. I see 4 altogether. There's lots of grooming going on with mum and this. Oh, there they go at it again. They're so sweet. There's some more. Another 2. Imagine what it must feel like from up there. Very cool. Mum and little one are going at the grooming again. It's just too cute when they do it. Now that's how I can tell that it's mum, though they do allo groom quite a lot. And they do that because they are in family groups. Oh. Mum's tail is that Mum's tail is draped over this little one. Oh. Have you got yourself a fur scarf? Yes, you do. So they allo groom a lot so they can share a scent, and that scent becomes unique to their family group. But what Mum tends to do is when she grooms her youngsters, she holds them down, and that's what this female was doing. She's holding this one down, like kind of pressing them against the tree, and then she grooms him. Oh, that's an itchy ear. Now compare these ones to the ones that we saw yesterday on Chitwa. They're in much better condition. Hi, Acacia Craft. You say this is too cute, isn't it just? I love stopping for squirrels, especially when there's a whole lot of them together, because they're so cute in the way they interact in the morning and in the evenings before the sun goes down. Whoa! Whoa! It's just too cute. Look at that stretch. That was amazing. Now, what I was saying to you is that the squirrels we saw yesterday at Chitwa, there's 2 young males that were very scruffy. They didn't have much fur in their tails. That's what they're like when they're younger and when they're in bad condition. Look at this one's about the same size as that smallest one we saw yesterday, but its tail is fluffier. Look at that. Hi, yes, we see you. I like how sometimes when you watch them, it looks like a fast-forwarded video. Now the video is frozen. Oh my goodness, they're so still. There we go. Whew, at least a blink. Hi, Trick. You'd like to know how do they hang upside down on the tree without falling down? With their very sharp claws. They have very, 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 very sharp claws. They don't get very deep into the tree or your flesh, but they can hang on. Because obviously the tip of them is very thin and needle-like. Now, obviously, they're also very light. They're about 200 grams, so even lighter than a dwarf mongoose. So they have light bodies. They have tails that can help them, and they've got these sharp claws that allow them to get just that enough into a branch to be able to hang on. Now, the squirrel we had at camp, there was one time that it would sometimes sneak into the room and you wouldn't notice that it's there. And I had my feet dangling off the bed, and the squirrel jumped onto my foot. But I was very absorbed in whatever I was watching or reading at the time, whatever it was. And my reaction was to flick my foot, obviously, because I had no idea what had just got onto my foot. And all that happened was the squirrel stayed on my foot, but moved 10 centimeters, taking my skin with it. So I had these fine, fine lines, scratches, where it had its claws in. But the miraculous thing is that it stayed on my foot. So those claws are very, very sharp, but they don't get in deep. This one is the thinker of the group. What will today hold? A nut? Maybe not. Maybe just some fruit. Or perhaps I should go to that DRC camp where they have breakfast at 9:30. Oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. One of my mates told me that Darren has cheese in his breakfast. Maybe I should go grab some of that. Too cute. All right, well, let me send you over to Mike in Pridelands. I'm hoping to find some elephants around this area.
So our first hairy scary has arrived. It's a big old buffalo bull who's waiting about 50 meters away from the water's edge. Definitely can see us, or at least has seen the movement. He's watching directly towards us, covered in oxpeckers. That's what gave him away initially. I heard the oxpeckers, but I couldn't see him, and then Craig pointed him out in the distance. Seems to not enjoy the oxpeckers much at all. Every time the oxpeckers go onto its face, it seems to shake them off. See that? Now he wants to come to the water's edge. Doesn't look like there's mud on its body, but I'm almost certain that this buffalo will want to come and wallow, or at least drink water, for the hot part of the day. I'm hoping if we stay very still here, it might just come and drink at the water's edge. We've got the sun behind us and there's plenty of shade where we're sitting, so I don't think it's going to really see us if we stand still for a very long time. It might forget that we're here. As we said before, probably widely recognized as one of the most dangerous animals to see on foot. We always discuss with our students when we're on foot, what would you do? What are your decision making? What should we do if this happens? What happens if these conditions change? What's the program then? Because you really need to be prepared for this animal in particular. It can be very, very unpredictable. Here he's on the move, coming down towards the water. Let's have a look here. I actually think that this buffalo has got a problem with its right eye. Hyena, absolutely a lone buffalo is more dangerous than a herd, or rather more potentially dangerous, because a lone buffalo doesn't have the support of all of the others of the herd, and so it will feel probably more likely to want to be aggressive, to chase off the danger, than to sort of see what's going to happen or have the support. You know, it's just, buffaloes are very supportive of each other. They'll often work together to chase off something. What we saw the other day, I think it was yesterday, a buffalo came towards us, saw us and ran away immediately, turned and wanted to fight if we tried to approach. So we have to be very wary of this buffalo. I don't know if he's still there, Craig. Yeah. Okay. Because I can't see him from where I am. Did you say he's moved off now? Oh, he ran off. Okay. I didn't see. I was not looking. Okay, so he's obviously run off. He's made that decision very quickly, but he won't go far. I'm sure he'll turn around and come back towards the water, maybe on the northern edge.
Dams are some of the best places that you can just sit and enjoy your morning coffee. Enjoy the sounds, the sights, the smells. I can't transfer the smell to all of you, but we can let you enjoy the beautiful sights around the dam and listen to the sounds of the bush. Isn't it magical? It's warmer now. We're going to sit here a little bit longer around this dam.
Mike, come in, Mike.
Welcome back, everybody. So we just had some few tracks of pride of lions in this area. So the last tracks that we had were sort of on our right hand side here, and right now I'm trying to figure if they could have potentially crossed on this road. I mean, so far there has been a lot of hyena tracks going up and down. I mean, maybe these hyenas were also just following these lions, waiting to see if maybe they are going to catch something. Quickly have a look over in the distance there. There's some few impalas looking more north. All right, no signs here. We're gonna go back and double back on the tracks that we had earlier on and see if maybe I can have another look, see exactly where they went. I didn't copy exactly your question, Susan. I believe you're asking, is the nomadic pride still here? I think that was the question. Well, I'm a bit confused in terms of when you say a nomadic pride is still here. I mean, we have the Birmingham pride that is actually in control, or is the dominant pride here, and they're always here. But they do move around a lot. But they only move around in okay, I think Jared just corrected me there. The 3 males. Okay. Now that makes sense. Yeah, we haven't seen them in a while. Sorry, I was just looking at some scat there, some old land scat. Yeah, so we haven't seen them in a while. I think last time I saw them was maybe 2 weeks back, I think. But they could still be in and around Ngala. But I haven't seen them in a while. Yeah, I think I'm going to double back on those tracks. I'm trying to figure exactly where they are because I couldn't see any fresh tracks on this road where we were. So they could be potentially be in a thicket here, or they could have changed their route. Maybe go even more south again, or cut even more west. So I'm going to go have another proper look there. I mean, the last tracks that we had earlier on also, we saw that they had cubs with them. So I don't think they will move very, very far with those little ones being with them. Because I mean, they have to constantly, move a little bit, rest a bit, so that the youngsters can be able to sort of keep up. But I think for now, while we're still looking, I'm going to quickly send you over to Trishala. I think she's on the move.
Well, that's lovely, Trico. I'm finding no tracks at all. Or elephants. Did find more squirrels, though. But it seems a little bit very quiet, almost a little like a ghost town. Very, very quiet this morning. Perhaps all the action was already spent in the early hours of the morning on the dam camp. I still have faith for some elephants, though. Hi, Keenan. You'd like to know if there are any ostriches on this reserve? Yes, most definitely. It's just a matter of whether they'll come to Djuma. So just so you know, Djuma is a lodge on a huge reserve called the Sabi Sands, right? Or a big reserve called the Sabi Sands. And there's many lodges on it. So Djuma is not a reserve. Sabi Sands is a reserve. And now the Sabi Sands is opened to the Kruger National Park in what's called the Greater Kruger National Park, which is humongous. Humongous. So theoretically, an animal can move from here to Mozambique unhindered. So there are definitely ostriches on the park, or on the game. It's just a matter of whether they actually come down to Djuma or whether they actually like this environment, this particular habitat, sorry. And they prefer areas where you find cheetah. That's how you would find ostrich as well. We're about to go into the more water.
Sorry about that. I don't quite know what happened to Trish, but you're back with us on the northern cut line now. I'm trying to keep up to date with that leopard that they're tracking in Buffelshoek. I also haven't seen tracks for anything other than hyena. Hyenas, hyenas, hyenas. Can you get a view from here, Davy?
Yep.
I found an animal, everybody. An elephant. I imagine there are more. This doesn't... looks like could be a female. If it's a female, then the rest of the herd will be around. If it's a male, he probably could possibly be out here on his own. He's on the Buffelshoek side. Come forward, elephant. Come towards Djuma. You see no ear flapping, no need to lose heat because it's not warm. Keep those ears close to the body to try and retain as much heat as possible. But elephants also walk a lot through the night, generating heat through muscle movement, keeping warm by moving. So you'll actually see them doing most of their resting during the day. They will rest at night, but they definitely don't sleep long bouts like we do, 8-9 hours. Look, tusks come in all different shapes and sizes, just like human teeth. Some human teeth are long or short or missing or squint. I had braces for, my goodness, about 6 years. Train tracks, they called them when I was a child. And that was because I had a gap in my teeth. All our teeth in humans are different. And essentially, elephant tusks are just elongated incisors. A modified tooth or modified teeth, when you're referring to both of them. So they will naturally come in all different shapes and sizes, and it's down to genetics. But you will also find they get longer as the elephant ages, and from this view, I really can't sex or determine the age of this individual just yet. I need to look at the entire body. So it could be a young elephant, although it does look quite big. Or older elephants, especially older bulls, who are sort of really active, will wear down their tusks. You will often find that on one side, look, the tusk is much, much shorter than the other, and you call that the master tusk. The shorter tusk is a master tusk, and that shows you whether they're right-handed or left-handed. Or should I say right-tusked or left-tusked? So the more they use that tusk to strip bark, debark, ring bark, dig up vegetation, it wears down quicker, and that will show you that that's the dominant side. We always have one dominant side, just like we do. You'll also find tuskless individuals. Not all elephants are born with tusks. And tuskless individuals of both sexes are actually known and recorded. In females, it's normally down to a recessive sort of genetic characteristic. In males, it's normally down to injury. They can break tusks. Tusks will continue to grow throughout the elephant's lifetime, but they will not regrow. Elephant, you're going in the wrong direction. Ah, that's better. You heard me. Okay, here we come. There's lots of them. I can see the rest of the herd. I think this one might be female. You can normally tell by the shape of the body, the shape of the forehead. Look for mammary glands. But through the vegetation, I can't see very well. I'm sorry. I think if we sit here long enough and be patient, we might actually get visuals of the rest of the herd.
The annual Safari Guide of the Year competition aims to create awareness for those men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. This year's event will be held at Marataba, a breathtaking privately managed section of the Marakele National Park in South Africa's Limpopo province. In celebration of this, WildEarth and Marataba Luxury Lodges are offering all explorers a chance to win a 3-night stay at Marataba Safari Lodge for you and a friend. In addition to a spectacular spectacular land-based safari, Maritaba luxury lodges offer an opportunity for guests to cruise peacefully along the Matlabas River, watching the animals as they drink and wallow. The lodge offers you a chance to lie by the pool or enjoy a spa treatment, and one night could be spent sleeping out under the stars in a luxurious treehouse. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the 30th of June, and it could be you heading off on a long-awaited getaway. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Hi everybody, I'm Tiana, I'm from Johannesburg, and I am one of WildEarth's biggest fans.
Been watching for 4 years. DG here from the Ozarks.
It's been 4 years for me, and I'm not leaving anytime soon.
It's given me a time away from the hassles of the city, and it's given me a connection to a place that has stolen my heart, which is Africa.
Last year we lost our son, and now we're just watching WildEarth. Love to all you guys.
You are reminding us of the role that we play in nature conservation, each and every one of us. You have reconnected myself to a dream that I had as a child to get involved in nature conservation, and for that I'm really grateful for as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially subalterns and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
We haven't quite got the views I was hoping for. I think it's a young boy, actually. Definitely not going to be spectacular views, but he might pop out. Can you work with this, Dobby? I don't want to get any closer. We got a bit of a head shake. It's the great big bulbous body in the vegetation. I can hear him feeding though. Can hear the starling. It's quite an electronic sounding call, I think. It almost sounds like a ringtone. Here you go. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. I'm just making sure there's no other individuals. There we go. There's an Ellie bum for Ellie bum. I hope you're watching, Ellie bum. The best bums in the bush. I definitely saw more individuals. I think they've just gone maybe possibly a little bit further into Buffelshoek. And it's definitely easier to see through the vegetation now than in summer, but it's still quite thick in some areas. Sadly, he's not crossing into Djuma. It's rather unfortunate, but we will keep going along the cut line and see if we can see any more individuals of this herd. And we're going to send you guys over to Pridelands.
So we have just seen the tiniest little buffalo calf. It must be freshly born. It's just right now obscured by its mother. I think it's its mother. It's so tiny. There's lots going on at the moment. The geese are freaking out. The oxpeckers are making noise. The buffalo are wading right into the water at the moment. It sounds like there's a small plane that's about to come over. I hope it doesn't frighten them. I always worry about the tiny babies in situations like this. When they're in the water, they can't really walk very easily. Look at those buffaloes wading right into the water. Goodness gracious, the geese are very noisy, aren't they? Having a big argument. Not sure what was the story there. There comes the baby coming out now. Oh, wow, that is so tiny. Freshly born. And Jamie buffaloes can swim. It wouldn't be swimming how we think about it, but it's just typical what we used to call doggy paddle, just kicking their front legs and back legs in a circular motion, sort of moving forward. But they won't like to be swimming. That's why I worry about this little buffalo calf, because it won't naturally be able to swim. So if it gets knocked over or something happens to it, it will be in a bit of danger. That's so tiny. That must be a couple of days old at the most. It's still so wobbly on its feet. Its umbilical cord is still very, very swollen. Oh, that's so great to see. So this buffalo herd might be what those lions we heard yesterday and we saw yesterday, it might be what they are looking for. And a calf like that would be very, very vulnerable. Some few of the buffaloes are now starting to mud wallow, lying in the mud, coating both sides of their body. Just preparing themselves. I did say it was going to be a very, very hot day today. I think it's going to be a scorcher. Well, for a winter day anyway. It won't be hot compared to summer. Oh, and there's a golden buffalo calf just to the right here. Very, very pale young buffalo. Almost golden in color. I love that color when they're so light like that. I wonder if that's the offspring of that female we used to see who had the golden tail. Could be. Some of the buffaloes seem to be moving off now. That little golden calf is going to go back to its mother. Most of them have started to finish their drink. And hopefully they'll stick around here for the rest of the day in this area. It'd be lovely to maybe catch them again this afternoon. That young buffalo is such a weird color. So I didn't count the buffalo, but it must be probably about 70 of them, which is a slightly larger herd than we normally see, which is great. And the herds will only get bigger as the water sources get more scarce. I think the largest group of buffalo I've seen here at Pridelands was probably numbering about 150, which is a fair amount. Sounds like there's a game viewer approaching. I know there was one of the guides in the area was desperate to find buffalo. So I'm sure he'll be very excited to know that there are buffalo around at the dam. So So most animals be pretty nervous about something like crocodiles in the water. These buffaloes don't really need to worry. They're a bit too big and strong. Marty, absolutely they will. Most antelope, I think they've spotted us, I think they've spotted the game viewer. They're all looking over. Marty, most antelopes and herbivore species, when they give birth, will eat the placenta because they don't want leftovers to attract predators. So they eat that to get rid of the evidence. Now I see some of these buffaloes are looking towards us. I don't know if they've seen us, but they might have seen some movement. We might end up seeing a bit of a stampede away from the waterhole. I think the vehicle that's arrived has caught their attention. So we'll just have to be quite wary about where we are and what we do. They wouldn't likely come towards us. If they were going to run away from the water, they'd likely move away from where the vehicle is. But what a spectacular event to witness, especially on foot. Let's hope the buffalo stick around. So while we watch these buffaloes slowly moving away from the water, we'll send you over to Tswalu.
I am back on Rebecca's Road, everyone, to see if maybe there's any tracks that have come out on the road since we were last here. And it doesn't appear that way. So we're just going to take this road and continue moving to the west. We'll end up on Balanites, Impala Plains, that area. Maybe we'll be able to spend some nice time with the impalas on that side. No, Hoopoe. There we go. It's African Hoopoe, everyone. They're so gorgeous. I'm very glad that it didn't fly away. I really expected it to. I love their crest and that long needle-like beak, like a tweezer, to help pick off little insects as it moves along the roads. You see them often on the roads. So normally, that crest is held in that kind of position, flattish. And then when it's feeling a little bit alert, like it did just then, because it moved off the road because they heard a car coming, you'll see it expand that crest out, and flare it out like that. Very, very, very pretty bird. You're likely to find them in pairs. I found myself that it's about 50-50 when I find hoopoes, African hoopoes. I don't always find them in pairs, but about half the time I do. Look at the use of that beak to preen. It's so long, it feels like it could really get an itch. A prepaid obsidian. Good morning. You say, what a hairstyle, what a rock star hairstyle, something like that. Either way, I agree with you. Very, very rocking. And it's not even permanent. You can control when it's super rocking and when it's just like averagely rocking. No, these guys with that long beak, a long beak offers them two things. One, the ability to get in to tiny spaces, like maybe to get some termites, other small animals, ants, larvae, things like that that may be in little crevices. But it also means that if they want to take animals that could be a little bit not more dangerous, but actually could cause them, it's just flown back up into the tree, could cause them to get scratched or hurt in some way. There we go. Like lizards, things with nails or claws, or little snakes, then that long beak means that it can be further away from its face and its body. One thing that's really, really cool to see is in the summer when there's alates out, and alates are those reproductive caste of termites, the ones with the wings, and they fly quite poorly, but they do fly. You'll see African hoopoes catching them in flight. That's really a treat. Hi, Fanny Lung. You say, what a unique bird. Absolutely. There's no other bird it can be mistaken for out here. No other bird at all. I think we might have a female here. And slightly duller than the male, and the crest is a little shorter than I would expect, but I'm not sure. Anyway, let's keep on moving to the west and see what other little gems we'll find.
We've just come across some impala that were alarm calling. It's a bachelor herd. But they've stopped. They obviously could see something that we can't. I'm just going to drive towards a fire break dog. Keep moving in case there is a predator around here. Impalas will always give the game away, but listen, let's just try and see if we can find exactly what it was they spotted.
Well, we're still along Rebecca's and I didn't see any trucks coming out. And it's starting to warm up now, so I'm thinking we might find some nice antelope around, and probably unlikely to find any predators moving. Rusty feels particularly noisy today, my vehicle. Oh, there's my favorite Belanites. Let's pay our respects and have a quick look at her. Beautiful, twisted. I wonder how old she must be, actually. Hi, Alex. You'd like to know why are there still so many green trees around? That's because we've had an excellent rainy season for the last 2 seasons. 2 rainy seasons, actually, have been great. And that means that the water table is high and can be maintained. So trees still have access to water. But this is, by the time August rolls around, it's going to be not as green. There's still some trees that will maintain some greenery. Spilonitis, for example, she'll maintain some greenery. The African wattle, magic guaris, they'll pretty much be green still. Magic guaris kind of stay green no matter what happens. I love this tree's twisted bark and the lichen that covers it. Hi, Lucinda. You'd like to know if my favorite tree actually bears any fruit. Not exactly. So the one that kind of looks similar, but does bear very nice fruit is the jackalberry. So the jackalberry's fruit is actually quite nice, and you can eat it. But this is torchwood. And to me, sometimes the canopy looks very similar. But you can tell the torchwood apart by obviously the fluted trunk and the green thorns, sometimes even called a green thorn. And the scientific name is Belanites mugami. But what it does do is there's seeds that it produces that actually creates an oil. And they use that oil, or the oil has been used for torches, hence torchwood. So in that sense, yes, it does produce a kind of fruit, but not the one that you're going to be eating very much. It's kind of almost like a hairy date. And they don't really have very much flesh. From what I understand, it's quite bitter. I've never tried it myself. But apparently baboons also like it. Well, not apparently. I've seen baboons go crazy for it. But only when they're just slightly riper, when they're a bit more yellow. But like I said, not a popular choice, these fruits. What humans really want the fruits for are the seeds that it produces with that oil. The fruit are actually not can produce a toxin if it's dropped into water. I'm sure you would have heard that story quite a lot. Hi Hammy, that is an excellent question. You'd like to know if elephants are able to ring bark this tree because it looks quite tough. They're not able to ring bark this tree. But it's not a result of it looking tough, it's a result of its twisted, fluted trunk. To ring bark a tree, you've got to have a certain amount of ease with actually pulling the bark. Now, because of the flutedness of the trunk, there's lots of dips and like ridges and bits that are very difficult to pull bark off. So if the elephant tries to pull the bark, it's going to stop. The bark's going to pull and break off at a part where maybe there's a bit of a ridge or there's a crest. So it can't pull it continuously. And that's an adaptation that this tree has developed in order to prevent ring barking. That's the number one reason for having a fluted trunk like this. Now, if you're wondering why marulas have not developed such an adaptation, they have developed something else. They have adapted or evolved to drop their fruit at an earlier stage to avoid as much ring barking and pushing over trees as possible. But also remember that when things evolve a good trait, so like this marula has no fluted trunk, it's smooth, it means it can easily be ring barked. And the Balanites doesn't. It's got this beautiful fluted trunk, and it means that it's very difficult to be ring barked. There's an obvious advantage to having a fluted trunk, and there's very little disadvantage to having a fluted trunk. But the whole genome of the marula has to arrive at the fluted trunk, and if it doesn't possess the genes to get it to the fluted trunk, or if it possesses that gene and that gene turns on, it means that something else that can be deleterious or very bad for them, basically, gets turned on. There's all those things to think about. So if it were easy and it would be very great to the survival of the marulas, they would possess that feature, but they don't. So it must either not be easy for them to have the correct mutation or go through the correct mutation to get the fluted trunk, or it's actually not that bad that elephants ring bark it. It's always interesting, but we have to think about the fact that that tree has to first possess the opportunity to have a fluted trunk. It's not just about one has it, why doesn't the other one? Anyway, let us keep going towards the west.
This is Jake Whitener, all the way from the US, and he is a holder of the Ticket to Dream.
I decided to support and buy the Ticket to Dream to help WildEarth in its mission of conservancy towards animals and the environment.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
And I would highly recommend that people would be involved in that program.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
Ever since I was able to get the Ticket to Dream, I've been looking forward to coming on this drive. It is an absolutely fabulous experience, and it's great.
The Mara Triangle is a jewel in the Kenyan conservation crown, and thanks to the dedication of the Mara Conservancy, it thrives as one of Earth's greatest national treasures.
We have been experiencing a reduction in the whale snails that we collect on a monthly basis, and this is basically attributed to our intense patrols.
Over the years, this courageous team of anti-poachers has reduced poaching to almost zero.
Mimi naitwa Stephen Olereso. Nimefanya kazi miaka 16 sasa. Kuanzia mwaka 2002. Hao wanadamu ni wenye utua sana inaogofya ni wale wenye wanaenda kama ndovu. Wanatumia kama bunduki. Sasa hiyo ndio huwa inakuanga hatari sana kwa sisi.
As a result of the global pandemic and the massive reduction in tourist revenue, the Mara Triangle is facing a financial crisis. They need your help if they are to continue their ability to protect this magical land.
My name is Steve, one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Oh, wow. Davi, can you just push that plug in a little bit? Bear with us. All good?
Hope so.
Our impala has run away. For some reason, the director's voice keeps coming out nice and loud in the car. I think we fixed it. We're back on quarantine. Just because we generally find a lot of life in this area. And saying that, it's looking pretty quiet, but let's just see if we can scratch around and see anything. We forget about quarantine, we tend to go, it's the first place we check and then we leave. But lots of predators, lots of animals move through this way. It's always worth coming back and checking to see if anybody's got mobile. Spot the usual impala. Where are you guys? Why are you not on quarantine? We don't get baobabs here, I'm afraid. Those beautiful, beautiful trees, but not in this area. I've never seen one in this area. There's lots of trees we don't actually get out here. It all depends on the soil type, the vegetation, the topography. But sadly, no baobabs. They have a huge baobab forest in Madagascar. That's definitely on my bucket list. I'd love to go there, but not here. Where are all the impalas? Why is quarantine deserted? I wonder if something has scared them off. See the little steeny bucky Dobby? There's two of them. They're both there. Hello, you. You're very relaxed, aren't you? Yeah, chill life. All the impala have gone, but you're still here. Steenbok have very small territory, so I do think this monogamous pair are the ones that we'll always see on quarantine. Is that the second one behind Dobby, or am I seeing... Is that a Steenbok? Yes, it is. sometimes it's logs or sticks or branches. Mrs. Bram, quarantine's very productive in terms of vegetation, especially for the antelopes that are grazers and browsers, actually. But most importantly, it's very open. So predators are not going to be able to come and ambush you and take you by surprise because you're going to be able to see it coming. And a lot of antelopes, especially the impala at nighttime, will rely on that. Stay in open areas so you can see all around you. Nothing blocks the audio, nothing blocks your line of sight. Whereas if you're in the dense thicket and you're busy chewing away like this little steenbok is, then something can easily sneak up on you and you just won't see it coming. The predators have digitate sort of food structure, which has evolved specially to allow the predators to sneak up on their prey. Allow them to walk silently. You don't hear them coming. We see their tracks, but most of the time the prey will not hear them. They're also masters of doing the whole freeze like a statue and then keep moving. We see the leopards do that all the time. So quarantine is just productive. The food is here and it's just nice and open, so you can always sort of do a 360 and see what's sneaking up on you. Hopefully nothing. That is referring to the predators that ambush. When it comes to wild dogs, when it comes to hyenas, there's really absolutely no time. You've just got to run because, as I mentioned earlier, they hunt by coursing. So we're going to continue scratching around. Hopefully we get lucky, but I believe Chico has already got his luck.
Welcome back, everybody. So finally, we get to see some lions, as you can see right in front of us. 2 lions that, as you can see, there's a little bit more further right of the screen, also just laying down there. There's one there. So just from where I'm sitting, I can only count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lions that I can see so far. And this is part of the Birmingham Pride. And if you look at that white lion there, the white male that is sitting there, look at the belly, the size of the belly. Really, really big. This male has had a lot to eat. So literally, all of them basically, they have these huge bellies where they've had a lot of meat to feed on. And they've been in this area for the last 3 or 4 days. And the reason why they're here, look at that one. Look at that size of that belly. Very, very full. So they've been in this area for like the last 3 or 4 days because they've actually were feeding on an elephant that has died here. We do not know what really happened to this elephant, but we know that these lions didn't take it down. So the elephant could have potentially died from natural causes. And maybe potentially these lions smelt it. Maybe they saw the vultures, circling and going down in this particular area. And these lions decided to come here, and then they came across this dead elephant that is just behind these lions in the thickets. And it's actually a lot of vulture activity in this area. And they're basically just waiting for the lions to move off so that they can get a little bit of a feed. And also they don't have to wait actually for them to move off. They can just sneak in from behind while these lions are sleeping and try to get a bit of meat. You can see some hooded vultures as well. Moving around on the ground. There you are. So this particular hooded vultures are not only here for the meat, they're also here for the scat of these lions. So those particular vultures, they feed on carcasses, lion scat, and even termites or termites alates. Every now and then you'll see them grabbing some termites. There's another one right up at the top there. I mean, it could either be just waiting, to get some food, or if it's just full, it has had enough to eat, and just decided to sit up there, try to digest, and also try to get warm. So it's been really, really cold this morning, and now we're having a bit of warmth. And it's also, we can hear a bit of crunching in the distance. I don't know if everybody can hear it. But I think it will be a little bit difficult for us to move around the thickest. There's one lion that is feeding actually on the carcass. It is making a lot of sound of breaking some bones on that side. I don't think it'll be very difficult to get in there. But as you can see there, you can see a backside there. And the tree is actually on the way, so you can't really see what it's feeding on. It's actually a thick area here. It's full of mopani trees here. So it'll actually be difficult to see. As you can see there, how thick this area is. Another more few vultures on the other side as well. Yeah, I'm also glad that we finally did manage to find these lions. I mean, yesterday we were, driving up and down, trying to find some lions. And finally, we got to be lucky with these guys. And also not too far away from where these lions are, there's a water hole just behind us. And I think maybe because they've had so much to eat, they have to actually go have a bit of a drink to help digesting the food. So the waterhole behind us might be ideal because it's much closer. But other than that, I don't think they're gonna move much. I think this is it. I mean, when you're this full, there's no need for them to move a lot. Just lay down, save much more energy while digesting.
We are just admiring the beautiful colors that are starting to set in. Well and truly now that we're into our dry season, lots of yellows and oranges. But my favorite is a tamboti during this time. It's turning this gorgeous kind of red, purpley color. I'll hopefully find some for you this afternoon. There aren't any near us at the moment. But these bush willows, we've got red bush willows here. They're really, really nice and pale at the moment. The russet bush willows, they get a very, like a darker orange color, which is very, very pretty. Look at that. So if you look at the top right-hand corner of that leaf, you can see how it's curled like that. The tip, the apex of the leaf is curled. You've got it there. That's an easy way to tell the russet bush willow and the red bush willow apart. The red bush, if you just go a little bit higher, this one's, of course, the apex of that one is eaten. And the other ones, okay, let's go a little higher. Yeah, that one will do. See how it's curled and pointed at the apex. That's something that you can use to tell the lead or tell a russet and red bush willow apart. A russet bush willow doesn't have a point like that. It's rounded. The apex is rounded. And also it makes sense because bush willows are combretums, and the species name or the Latin name for this red bush willow is Combretum apiculatum. And it'll help to remember that name by remembering apex. Oh, it's got a strong apex and an apiculatum. At least that's the way my brain remembers it. Really, really beautiful. All their seed pods are pretty much dried up now. But that's actually great because they'll need them to go on and disperse. There's a nice twisted apex there too. Well, let's see what other fancy colors we can see in the bush as we move on.
The hippos are all out of Gary jam. It's sunbathing time. It's definitely not sunbathing time for myself, but for the hippos it is. I just want to point something out. I'm not sure if this is visible from the dam cam or I wasn't aware this was here, but I think there's a dead impala in the water. I think it's an impala. It's possibly not visible. I don't think that's an Egyptian goose. I'm pretty certain it's an impala. Now, I know the hyenas took one impala out of the water last night. They went in to drag it out. But I believe there's another one. They must have chased in two. Sad. Darby's found a monitor lizard. I've actually found the tiny little terrapin hatchling that we had yesterday. It's so small, I'm convinced it's a hatchling. Shall I roll forward, Dav, and you'll be able to get it?
Sure.
Orange breasted bush ride. Okay, I think you should be able to get it from here. If you see it just on the embankment. It's tiny. Yep, you got it. Look at it. It's definitely a hatchling, for sure.
Cute.
Two?
Only cute.
Where did you see the other one?
That's why I just said cute.
Oh. We see you, little terrapin. Oh, it's very sweet. You can even tell by the sort of back legs that it's very, very young. It's very small. And with turtles or chelonians across the board, the sex of the offspring, and this never, ever fails to just blow my mind, is temperature dependent. Not genetic. So we obviously have the XX and the XY chromosome, which determines the sex of the offspring in humans. But with turtles, it all depends chelonians, sorry, I shouldn't just say turtles, on the temperature. Now, when a sea turtle or a terrapin, when they lay their eggs, it's in the ground, moist ground, and they've all got claws, they'll dig. It can be a really long process, especially within turtles, and sea turtles also use their flippers, which can just be so difficult. But if you think they're digging a big hole in the ground, so sort of this shape, now they're going to lay their clutch of eggs in here. Now those eggs at the very, very bottom are going to be cold. They're not getting the heat from the sun. They're against a cold soil and they're not surrounded by other eggs. All the eggs on the sort of periphery will be slightly cold. Those eggs in the middle are going to receive a little bit of heat from the other eggs. And those eggs on the top are also... Davi wasn't enjoying that demonstration, I don't think. Those eggs on the top will also be hot. And we can go back to the little turtle now. And therefore, the hot ones will be females. And the cooler ones will be males. Now, there's a threshold, there's a cutoff point, and in order to remember that, for chelonians, not crocodiles, there's hot chicks and cool dudes. So the hotter the egg, it will be female. And the cooler the egg, it will be male. And it all depends on where it sits in the nest. If it's receiving warmth from the sun, warmth from other eggs, or it's against the cool soil. Now, for crocodiles, it's the complete opposite. So therefore, it's hot dudes and cool chicks. That doesn't work, does it? I think hot chicks and cool dudes is better, but that's one way to remember it. That's how we sort of remember it when you're talking about sea turtles. It's entirely dependent on temperature. Now let's just think about climate change and global warming. It's definitely affecting the sex of the hatchlings of reptiles, especially sea turtles across the board. More females are being produced, which is great, but we need males. We need it to be balanced. And it's definitely causing a great imbalance in sea turtles who are already in trouble across the board. So I think I'm just going to sit here at Gowrie Dam a little bit longer, and you guys are going to head over to Trishula.
We have here a very, very entertaining grey gullwing bird that is having a go at a monkey pod, black monkey pod, or Senna petersiana. Very pretty small tree with yellow flowers that obviously produce these long pods that the grey gullwing bird seems to be thoroughly enjoying. Oh, it's been calling for us. Like that. It's so careful and clumsy at the same time. I love that crest. It's amazing considering how many pods there are all over that we can see. That's taking this grey gullwing bird such a while to snap a piece of it, but there, we finally got some. Now they especially like fruits and flowers, buds, things like that. That's why you see them very often in gardens in South Africa. I think it's a very beautiful grey. This grey that they are, it's a very soft grey. Oh, went a little pod crazy there. They're quite large birds. They're almost about 50 centimeters. And And especially when you see them close up, you realize just how big they are. The way it moves its neck, it almost looks like it's going to break. There it goes, jumping branch to branch. There's so many pods around for you, grey go-away bird. I think you're going to have a feast this morning.
The Endangered Wildlife Trust fights at the forefront of conservation, across the vast Karoo and sweeping grasslands, in remote pockets of forest, along road networks, across African skies, and in communities to conserve our wildlife and wild spaces. Help us to protect forever, together. Donate now at ewt.org.za.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at andBeyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through andBeyond Ngala on WildEarth. Send me live questions through the WildEarth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
The croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want. The wildebeest cross, is it trying? The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky, lucky wildebeest. You have another day to live.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hello, I'm Marna, your WildEarth safari guide from andBeyond Ngala. What's my favorite animal? Definitely elephants, and in particular an elephant bull, an old elephant bull. I think the sheer size partnered with their experience because they grow so old. I always wonder what they've seen and how they've seen the bush change over those many years. Join me or one of the other guides twice a day on WildEarth.
We are slowly making our way in the direction of breakfast, much like the grey go-away bird. I'm in need of some sort of seed pod, more of a human type of seed pod though. I'm surprised that we haven't seen very many antelope today, considering that usually when it's quiet and it has this really ghost town feel, there's usually a lot of antelope around, at least a lot of impala. But this time, I don't see any. None on quarantine either. We do have some hornbills here enjoying themselves though. Hello, hornbills. A nice red-billed hornbill, yellow-billed. Oh, look at that. Very nice. So you would notice that despite the fact that they look very, very similar, the actual size of their beak is different. The yellow-billed hornbill has a larger beak. So it's not just the color that's different. And all it does is allow them to feed together in the same space and for them to still have sufficient difference in the size of the prey they can take, and so it reduces competition between the two. I say sufficient difference because obviously there's still going to be ants and small beetles and things that they'll both be able to take and will both fight over. But at least it creates enough of a difference for them not to completely compete with each other. Incoming, some Birchall starlings have arrived. Oh, they're so pretty. What we're seeing right now is the usual suspects bird-wise at Djuma. Cape turtle dove, starlings, and hornbills. I love them now. They're walking towards us as if we're going to give them something. I like this one here. Hello. I too am looking for breakfast, so I don't have any to give you. Whoa. Don't fight, guys. I've been noticed that starlings have been behaving like this too recently, not just the hornbills. I'll let them know. Everyone says they have very impressive beaks. A lot of the world, hornbill, thinks that your beaks are quite impressive. I agree with them. I agree. Your beaks are impressive. I particularly like the head throwback to allow them to swallow whatever they've picked up on the ground. Throw your head at. I meant throw your head back, but I had where's your head at in my head at the same time. This is basically what we see at camp all the time. Hi Lucy, you'd like to know if birds are struggling now that most insects have left or died? No, that's because most birds have a varied diet. So it's not just insects that they're after, but maybe small lizards, snakes, geckos, those type of things. Also maybe fruits. So lots and lots of birds have enough variation in their diet for them not to struggle because the winter means fewer insects. And also remember that there's many insects that still are around in winter, like ants and termites. Worms as well beneath the ground, so it's not just insects, there's also invertebrates that they're after, or other invertebrates. So they're definitely not struggling. This is a particularly good time for them because lots of insects are reaching the end of their life cycle, so they're struggling to move and things like that. So it's easy pickings, plus we've just burnt the fire break, so whatever's emerged from there is also easy pickings. Also in the wintertime, you do see a lot of caterpillars, of certain species at least, and that's great for these guys. It's just an adjustment period. They have to change from eating what their favorite foods are to their not so favorite foods. But still, they'll be able to survive just fine. Anyway, speaking of food, I'm going to head off. I'm going to send you over to Lauren. She's still at the dam.
I don't think I've fully adjusted to the season yet, Trishala. I'm still not used to these cold mornings. It has been another quiet drive here, but that's okay. You never know what might happen this afternoon. haven't got an update on this leopardess. Apparently she came in from the north. So those who sort of do know our leopard movements here, she came in from the Manguletti side. Insele is at Sussens Dam, so she's been found today. Doesn't appear to be her. So I'm wondering, is it a leopardess we don't know? Is it Luna? Has Luna had her first litter? I'm really not sure. They found the tracks and the cub tracks, but no sign of a leopardess just yet. So I shall keep you posted on that as best as I can. And I wonder if that impala will just sit there on the water. I mean, it's not going anywhere, I know that much, but there's no crocs around Gowrie Dam. There has been in the past, but right now there's not. The hippos are not bothered by it. Will a hyena come back and attempt to get it? It's quite close to the shoreline. I mean, it's not, I don't know the depth, but it's not too far away from the shore. That's amazing that all happened and we got to view it on the dam cam. I think Intima was involved as well. I missed out her name earlier. I do apologise, Intim. How could I forget about you? Otherwise, it'll just decay. It'll decay quicker in water than it will on land. Be interesting to keep an eye and see if anything comes for it. It's so peaceful. I think if you're ever feeling stressed or anxious or something's bothering you, watching the dam cam or coming to a dam if you have access, it's just so peaceful. But it has come to the end of the drive, everyone. The sunrise safari has almost finished, but don't worry, there's always a sunset safari. Please do join us. It'll be my last drive for a few weeks. And Davi's. Sorry, Davi, I almost forgot you there, but I didn't. But thank you everyone for jumping on board. All your comments, all your questions, and just being there. I hope I see you this afternoon. Have a great day.